Hi, thanks for joining us here at the Movie Geeks Point of View. As always, I am your host, Ryan Martin. I am once again joined for the third time in a row by none other than Mr. Ali McLaren.
What's up, guys?
For the second time in a row, I am joined by Graeme Smith, who cannot get his video working.
Hi, I'm thrilled to be here.
I'm not entirely sure if that was sarcasm or not, but I'm going to take it as genuinely you are thrilled to be here. So, we have
Let the viewer decide.
we have some technical difficulties, as you can possibly tell. That's not really a surprise. We've been riddled with them from the get-go, but we're improving. We're getting there slowly but surely. Once again, if you hear a crying child, Graeme is torturing babies because he has nothing better to do with his time, and he can't even give it a rest.
That's not true. I'm being paid.
Well, I don't want to know about that. You should keep that to yourself. So, before we start on this week's topic, which is Avengers the Age of Ultron, we have uploaded part 1 of our best and worst movies from 2014, which was the last podcast we done. I have not been able to upload part 2 as of yet. I try to get it up and it just gives me a giant middle finger.
That's what she said.
Very good. It is refusing to cooperate, but hopefully by the time this has been up, so shall the last part of our last one. And everything I'm saying right now is an innuendo, so let's just move on. So, like I said, today we're going to be talking about the Avengers Age of Ultron, and we're going to start with a quick overview of the first Avengers movie. So, let's go to Graeme first. Graeme, what did you think of the Avengers? And, a quick summary of your thoughts about the movie, and a mark out of 10 for it.
Mark out of 10, I would say a 9. I would say would be my mark for the Avengers. I thought at the time it was the best comic book movie I'd seen. Whether a couple of more recent entries have usurped it, I don't know, but it certainly had everything you could look for in a comic book movie. Just the excitement factor of having all these big superheroes together in the same movie for the first time was something unique, at least at that point. And I think it did a great job of including everyone. You didn't need to be a comic book fan to enjoy what that film did. I can't get my girlfriend to watch it because of its comic book characters, but still. But yeah, I think it concluded a great Phase 1, and Phase 2 has been equally superb so far, and we're just waiting for that to conclude this year. That's all I've got to say, to be honest.
Ali, your thoughts on the Avengers movie and a mark out of 10 for it?
Well, I'm going to give the Avengers movie a big 10 out of 10, actually, because I thought it was absolutely amazing. Full marks, yeah. It's full marks because, like, I'm agreeing with Graeme here, it had everybody in it that you wanted to be in it, and it just was what it needed to be, and it was a catalyst to say, this is where we're going on the right path, and enjoy the ride. And even my own partner went to see it with me, and she just thought, oh my god, that is brilliant. Not just because she likes Chris Evans or Chris Hemsworth by any means, of course.
I'm sure she
but
does.
No, it was. Well, I'm sure she does, yeah. But anyway, totally amazing film, and the films to follow after it just as equally amazing, and I can't wait for Age of Ultron.
Well, to pick up on that point you made, Ali, about your girlfriend liking Chris Hemsworth and Chris Evans,
Well,
I'm
you
a
do too?
heterosexual male, and I do not blame her. Yeah, I mean they are some sexy
Yeah,
gentlemen. You know, the guys are buff. If I was built like them, I would not wear a top ever. I'd just walk around topless. And we stay in Scotland, so you know that says something. I mean, right now it's what 1 degree outside, if that.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I mean,
No,
they're
to be
good
fair,
looking
I would
guys.
love
It's a
to.
good way to bring a female audience to it. But of course, they're going to make them good.
You really think women are so shallow?
Yes. Yes, they're just as shallow as men are.
You remember this is going online, man.
Yeah, I do, but you know, women are just as shallow as men. They're just more subtle about it. But anyway, overall, for the first Avengers movie, I thought it was absolutely fantastic. The action scenes were brilliant. The characters interacted so well together. They all got decent screen time. You didn't feel like anyone was left out from it. The only person who didn't get great screen time was Hawkeye, but he was never a major character before that. The only time you saw him before that was briefly in the Thor movie, so you would expect him to get a lot less screen time than everyone else. But the characters were so well done together, and I think that's all because of Joss Whedon. He is just phenomenal at taking a huge number of characters and making them all relevant. I would say it's arguably the best superhero movie to date, and I would say 9 out of 10 for it, easily. And
Why would you?
Why not why not a 10 out of 10 if you don't mind me asking, Ryan? Why
because
not?
I
Full
don't
marks?
think there's any such thing as a perfect movie, Ali.
Alright, okay.
It was pretty
Every to their own.
It was pretty damn close, but I don't
Alright,
think there's
okay.
such a thing as a perfect movie. If I ever do say a film is a 10 out of 10, you know it's my favourite movie of all time.
Okay, no
Making
worries.
it a 12A was
Just
why I
asking.
dropped a point.
Sorry, Graeme.
So I would drop a point because it's a 12A.
Well, of course it's a 12A. It's a superhero movie.
Well, that doesn't mean that's a
Yeah,
12A. There's other
but
ones that are
superhero
15s.
They're going to want to bring in a much wider audience. And which one was a 15? I know the Punisher films were, but he's not exactly a superhero.
Punisher was an
Tim
18
Burton,
and the Batman.
Batman
The
was.
Tim Burton ones, yeah. The Tim Burton ones were.
And the newer ones, 2 of them were 15s. No, 1. The Dark Knight was a 15, I think.
The Dark Knight was a 15. Well, to be fair,
Yeah.
the Joker was pretty scary in that. I think children could have been mortified by it.
I just want to see a little, like when Coulson got killed, it didn't have to be so soft focused, or when Iron Man is being wide to Captain America, Cap could just turn around and go, you know what, fuck you, Iron Man, fuck you.
Yeah, I would have loved that. That would have been brilliant.
Cap's like, I could literally put my hand through your chest right now, and you know, you're mouthing off to me. But yeah, I still think fantastic film, and I would say it is possibly the best superhero movie ever made.
But if you actually look at the scene in the Avengers when the Incredible Hulk absolutely just
Well, you were going to say the
flattens
Incredibles there. I didn't
Loki.
realise they were in the film.
No. He goes to Loki basically, fuck you, you know. Loki says I'm a god, and the Incredible Hulk goes, poof, whatever, fuck you, mate. You're a god, but I'm incredible.
Well, yeah. But right, we will move on, and now we are going to talk about Phase 2 and the build-up to Avengers Age of Ultron. So, we'll start with you, Ali, and just tell me, very quickly, what is your favourite movie from Phase 2?
Well, actually, my favourite film from Phase 2 has actually been Thor: The Dark World. I just thought, for the first time in ages, a film actually went away from Earth. You know, like these kind of films. Normally, the films are on Earth and everything's all situated. The whole story is around Earth. And in The Dark World, Earth is there, but it's in brief segments, and the rest of it is. The rest of the film is actually
The final showdown was all on Earth, or
yeah,
most of it was on Earth, because they were traveling through all the different realms, weren't they? But
yeah,
I did
what I loved.
really enjoy seeing a lot of the other realms, I have to say. I did really enjoy that. So, Graham, what was
And
your
also-
favourite film from Phase 2?
Well, I'd have to say it's difficult to comment on that when there's still 2 films in Phase 2 to go.
So far, we're saying. We're talking about on the lead up to Avengers 2. We have seen all the films before Age of Ultron. So,
But that's not the last one in Phase 2 either.
no, it's not. Ant-Man is, which is very strange.
Yes,
But
that's what I
anyway,
thought.
anyway, let's just go on. And what is your favourite film so far from Phase 2?
Just gonna brush over my objections, right? I see the way this goes. Dictatorship, not democracy.
It is a dictatorship.
I'll answer your question.
You get. Just answer your damn question. This isn't a cheerocracy. This is a. I forgot the line. It's something from a. What's that cheerleader movie? Bring It On.
I'm just gonna sit here quietly till you get it.
Bring It On. Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Anyway, I should not be referencing Bring It On in a Marvel talk.
No, you're
You look so cool now.
So right, let's answer the question.
Well, my favourite film of Phase 2, which is not great because it doesn't fit into Phase 2 particularly well, is Guardians of the Galaxy. Because it doesn't really contribute much to the Avengers film, but certainly it did form part of Phase 2. I talked about it in the last podcast we did. I thought it was fantastically original. To take characters that no one had heard of, including a lot of comic book fans, I must say, unless you're really into your comics, and make a huge budget blockbuster for the summer out of it, is a massive risk, and they couldn't have done it any better. It was probably the funniest comic book movie I've seen. It was a fantastic film all around. Although Captain America Winter Soldier was not far behind, because that took the kind of epic scale of Avengers, the first one, and I think it beat the Avengers for scale. Perhaps not as quite good a film, but the battles were out of this world. Although they were in the air again, which seems to be how all battles go.
So you say Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes.
I would say my favourite was Captain America: The Winter Soldier. I thought it was fantastic. I love Captain America. He's one of my favourite Marvel characters. He's like Marvel's equivalent of Superman, considerably less powered, but the one everybody looks to see what's right, and they follow his lead, and you can see why, because he's.
I thought Captain Marvel was more like Superman, apart from being a woman.
Well,
super fast and strength and all that shit.
She's got more similar powers to Superman, but Captain America has a very similar ideology to Superman. You
put him in a ring with Superman, he's fucked.
I am not disputing that. What I'm saying is they are both the characters that the rest of, like DC, all the characters look up to Superman. Marvel, all the characters look up to Captain America. They're like the lead character that's in their similarities, and they both do whatever is right. They're not, although Captain America is Captain America, he's not necessarily just going to side with America. There are stories where SHIELD or the government or whoever will be like, you need to do this, and he'll be straight up, no, I'm not doing it. That's not right. And we saw that come through in the movie when Nick Fury was talking about putting the flat, was it in the air, the big hovercraft ship things, the big air hangers, and shooting threats before they happen, and he's like, that's no on.
Air carriers are called, Ryan.
He actually sounds like a pretty piss poor soldier.
Because he won't follow orders. I'm maybe not denying that, but he's a fantastic superhero. He's no longer a soldier. That's just the point. He was a soldier. He's not anymore. But he's one of my favourite characters.
But he doesn't get to use Captain. He can be Mr. America.
I think he's just fantastic. I loved seeing him fight regular people. Like that scene where he jumps on the ship at the start of the movie and he's just knocking people about. That was fantastic. I love seeing how much better he is than regular people. Because until now, we've only really seen, like, in Captain America, the first Avenger, they skipped over a lot of the action in a big montage, and we only really saw him fight Red Skull, who is also a super soldier. And then in the Avengers, we only saw him fighting aliens and stuff like that. So we've never seen him until this point really throw down with normal people. So I loved seeing that.
You saw him at one point with normal people in the Avengers, didn't we? And they, what was it, when they blew up the engine or something and the thing? Iron Man was out fixing it and he was fighting the normal guys.
Yeah, but I mean, it was
Chucking all over the place.
mostly block a couple of bullets with his shield, throw a couple of people about, but it wasn't much at all. And I love seeing it on a bigger scale, seeing what he's really capable of. Then they go on, obviously Hydra was the villain, and Hydra are like Marvel's penultimate Earth-based villains. You know, they're the guys who are on Earth that you've got to be worried about, and I loved seeing them come back. And I loved the ending of this movie, I loved the setup, I loved everything about it. I also think it wasn't just good as a superhero movie, I think it really worked well as an espionage movie as well. Obviously with superhero elements, but I really liked that I had that different side to it, much like Guardians had a much more sci-fi element to it, and Thor kind of had a fantasy element to it. They've been going out of their way to give each of the movies a slightly different spin to just regular superhero movie. So I really, really liked Captain America the Winter Soldier, and I love seeing the Winter Soldier because I'm a big comic book fan and he's great in the comics. And there was a part in the movie that was a wee nod to the comic book fans where the Winter Soldier's got Cap's shield, and that was just fantastic because I don't know if you know, but in the comic books at one point the Winter Soldier actually takes up the mantle of Captain America. So that was just a little nod to that. But right, we'll move on. So overall on Phase 2, what do you think the negatives were of what we've seen so far? We'll start with you, Ali, seeing as Graeme's back to torturing children.
Right, well, I've got really no negatives for Phase 2 at all. Like I say, Thor 2 was my favourite one, and nothing was really that negative for me at all. I didn't like. I know you're gonna maybe not like me for this, but I didn't like Iron Man 3.
Among many reasons.
Iron Man 3 did not really sing to me as loudly as what the first and the second film did for some reason. I don't know why it didn't. It just never really went poof. You need to stick with the Iron Man franchise, you know. Sometimes films do that. Sometimes it's because they've changed the director or some other reasons. But
they changed the director in it.
Yeah, but I'm saying that sometimes happens in film franchises. Things happen.
I'm agreeing. They did change the director. It was Shane Black who directed Iron Man 3. It was Jon Favreau who directed the first two.
Yeah,
so they did change it,
and that just sometimes happens, you know. But let's see what happens when Age of Ultron and Ant-Man comes out. Let's see what they leave us to ponder for Phase 3, basically. You know,
Graeme, what do you think? Any negatives from Phase 2 were? Sorry.
Well, I have a negative that turned into a positive. I was, unlike Ali, I was worried when I discovered Thor was mostly off Earth, because I like superhero movies to be quite grounded. I don't buy into the fantastical thing a lot of the time. That's why I like the Dark Knight trilogy so much. But I thought the second Thor was actually fantastic. One of the, very funny, very different, and very enjoyable. But I do agree with Ali that I think Iron Man 3 was the weakest. Of Phase 2. I was slightly disappointed because I'm a big Shane Black fan, whether it's Kiss Kiss Bang Bang or Lethal Weapon. His writing is normally very sharp, and it did have some sharp writing in Iron Man 3. There was some good bits, but I didn't like the finale with all the fire and multiple Iron Mans and
all the extremist guys.
Exactly. Iron Man, so far, the two films, okay, it's Iron Man, it's a bit daft, but they hadn't brought in the kind of ridiculous stuff that you have in Thor movies and whatnot, whereas the guy, I can't even remember exactly what happens, but he has this weird ability thing going on.
He developed a tech called extremist nanobites that they would inject into your body, and they were supposedly a technological way of basically recreating a super soldier. Again, it was basically them attempting to do a Captain America type thing. Except,
Yeah, but was he not turning into like molten lava or something
well,
and then
it's
solidifying? It was something.
while they did heal you and make you stronger and all that, they also like messed your entire body up and they raised your temperature stupidly, and that's why if some people were getting too upset, they were exploding, or if they were getting too much of the dose, they were actually just exploding and dying. But yeah, they did have it that certain people who had it could burn shit just by touching it. You know, like they had his character, was it Guy Pearce who played him?
Yeah.
And you know, they had his henchman as well who could do it, and yeah, they could burn through things and that, and you know, so yeah, I'll give you it. It's a bit far-fetched. It works in the comics, but possibly in an Iron Man movie they should try and stay a bit more grounded. But anyway, any other negatives or?
No.
No. Okay. Right. Right. I'll go on to my negatives, and I'll quickly touch on it. Well, my negatives, I believe, does touch on Iron Man 3. The thing I find most negative about the entirety of Phase 2 so far has been the villains. I found all the villains have been very weak. For example, in Thor: The Dark World, they had Malekith, who his motivation was to return the world to darkness, and you're like, but why? And then Guardians of the Galaxy, fantastic film, but the villain Ronan was just like, I'm attacking this planet simply because I believe in a religion that says it. But that's it. We hear it once, he sums it up in one sentence, and then we never see his motivations again, other than because I want it. It's the same way Malekith, it was summed up in one thing. Iron Man 3, I found the villain.
The Joker did what he wanted to just because he wanted to. Surely that's not a criticism.
It's a different character though. You can't compare every character. Not every villain is the Joker.
That's not what I'm saying. You're criticising Ronin for not having a purpose just because he wants to do it. That's exactly what the Joker's MO is.
I'm just saying, I felt Ronin was a weak villain. Not physically weak. I mean, we saw him dominate Drax the Destroyer. I'm not saying physically weak, I just felt his motivations were weak, and I felt that they summed it all up in one sentence. I just wish they had done more to show us, and then I wouldn't have felt he was such a weak character. The exact same with Malekith. And then for Iron Man 3, we all thought we were going to get a good villain. We all thought we were going to see the Mandarin, but of course they psyched us out with that, which really, really annoyed me at the time.
That annoyed me as well, by the way, big time.
I will
It was genius.
You liked it, did you, Graeme?
They couldn't have the Mandarin as a real villain in the modern world. The political correctness would kill it.
Fuck political correctness. It's a fucking superhero movie. I wanted to see the Mandarin. I didn't care if his rings were magic or not. I was okay with him just being a terrorist. Well, I wanted to see some incarnation of the Mandarin. I thought Ben Kingsley's going to rock it. And don't get me wrong, when he turned out to be a drunken English actor, I did find that funny. But I just thought it was such a shame that they were just going with Extremis as the villain. And I would have loved Extremis to work for the Mandarin and not vice versa, not the Mandarin be a complete fraud. And really, Guy Ritchie's character wasn't that strong a villain either. He was doing it, what? Because
Guy Pearce.
Guy Pearce, sorry, yeah.
Guy Pearce, not
yeah. He was doing it because what? Because Stark had just left him on a rooftop a couple of years before. I mean, grow up, man. You know, get over it. But yeah, so my main negative about all of Phase 2 has been the villains. In fact, I kind of say that about a lot of Phase 1 as well. Say really the only properly strong villain Marvel has had is Loki. Other than Loki, I find the villains very forgettable. Now, Hydra I love as a villain.
They're building up to Thanos, aren't they?
They are, yeah, and I can only hope that they nail Thanos. But Hydra is great as a villain, but that's an organisation. Even the people in charge of Hydra, I wouldn't have said, like, I wasn't particularly impressed with Red Skull and Captain America the First Avenger. I was okay with Robert Redford's character in The Winter Soldier, but I wasn't blown away by him. I didn't think he was amazing. I just thought he was the best of a bad bunch, really. But Loki, I do have to say, is a phenomenal villain, and his appearance in Thor: The Dark World was outstanding. So, moving on, are there any positives you would like to mention that aren't just a movie? Anything in general you think from Phase 2 that has been very good?
Positive on all the films is just how rapid they were bringing them out, or have been bringing them out. Sorry, I just think with some franchises, as we know from the past, they've waited like 5-6 years for like sequel films, whereas
Steel.
this one, like with this one, they seem to be just going year after year after year after year, which is amazing.
I would actually agree with you. That is definitely a positive, not just from Phase 2, but from Marvel as a whole. Is that they know where they're going, they know what they're doing, and they're like, let's just get it done and put them out. And they're not arsing about with it. They're not just, they're not like, we're going to make them a couple of years. I mean, they've released 2 movies in 2014. And they're planning to, is it 2 or 3 movies over the next couple of years they're going to be releasing every single year. And that's fantastic. And although I'll say myself as a positive, I think the quality of the movies as a whole have been very good. There's not one movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe that I dislike. I actually enjoy them all, even although I would say, I'm not a big fan of the villains in them. I think the villains need a lot of work. I still think all the movies are good fun, and I would happily sit down and watch any of them if it was on television, Graeme, would you agree with us, or...?
I'd agree. There's a couple of films perhaps that have been 3 stars, but apart from that it's 4-star and up, I think.
Yeah, there's certainly no films in the Marvel Cinematic Universe that I dislike, is what I'm saying. It's I enjoy them all.
Yeah.
And I mean, some obviously are better than others, but there's not one of the movies that I would say, I would refuse to watch.
No.
If it was on television and I'm flicking through and I came across any one of them, there's not one I would say I'm not watching that.